Hey there, welcome to Craft Central Designs. I'm sharing with you today a lovely Valentine's Day wreath with beautiful deco mesh bundles, faux pink roses, pretty ribbons, and glittered wood hearts. I had a client request for a wreath with faux roses, and I haven't made one yet this Valentine's Day crafting season, so I thought I would take you with me while I created this pretty wreath. Perhaps this will give you ideas to create one for yourself. Welcome to all to my channel today. Please remember to subscribe if you are not currently, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the tutorial, and of course, leave me your comments. I always enjoy interacting with my channel viewers. Okay, let's get busy creating this beautiful Valentine's Day wreath. Let me show you the items that I needed to gather together to create this beautiful wreath today. I have here a wire wreath frame from Hobby Lobby. Now this is a nice sized wreath frame. It's about 17 inches across the widest portion. Now of course you could do this with a little bit smaller wreath frame. You could also do this wreath with a round wreath frame. It doesn't have to be a heart, but I'm using that one from Hobby Lobby. I also have this heart. It's a wood heart, and it's attached to a metal piece. And this is from Hobby Lobby as well. But I'm going to be taking that heart off of there because I wanted that size heart and that thickness of heart. And I can always use that metal piece for another project. Or I can just put another, heart on there. But for today and for now, I'm going to detach that heart from that metal piece. But this is a wood heart from the Dollar Tree. So you could just as easily get that at the Dollar Tree. I usually put 2 of those hearts together. If I use Dollar Tree wood hearts, I just glue them together just for the added thickness. I have here more of that 80% off deco mesh from Joann, so I'm going to use it. The striped one is from Hobby Lobby, one of my very favorite deco meshes, and I got that 40% off. I'm just showing you here some selections of potential ribbons for this piece. Now, first thing I did was purchase the pink roses, and I knew that I was probably going to have that all too familiar challenge of matching pinks, and it indeed turned out to be that way. So I either could use red roses, which again, reds are the same way, not always easy to match. But here I was gathering lace, I was gathering different types of ribbon. I had there the burlap one. I thought about combining the two, the lace on top of that pink. Now that pink ribbon, I'm going to show you the roses here in a minute. It was a close match, but it wasn't perfect. And there's the roses, which I love those. I thought that would make a beautiful wreath. So I just had to go with it and try and match the pinks. And yeah, it's always a struggle with pinks. It just is. So, so I picked up a little piece of tulle at 40% off at Joann's. It has a very pretty sparkle to it. And I was going to create a sash to go across that wood heart. Now, this tulle was a pretty good match for those pink roses. So I'm going with the pinks and the items and the materials for this wreath that match the best. You could put those letters on this wreath across the heart. I'm just giving you some options here. And I have these little pins. They're little sparkly pins that I pick those up on Temu. Once in a while I make a big order from Temu because they do have great crafting items. I'm going to be using a sponge applicator, Mod Podge, my wire cutters, scissors, pipe cleaners, Aleene's Tacky Glue, all the usual items, standard items. Okay, I'm going to be creating bundles, and this is one of my all-time favorite meshes. I'm cutting this in 16-inch lengths. For my bundles, I'm going to place that mesh with this mesh that I picked up at 80% off at Joann's. It's really pretty. It's kind of a snowball mesh, but yet it has a bit of a stripe through it, and it's a kind of an iridescent, it has that iridescent quality about it, so it adds a visual interest to the bundles. Okay, so for my bundles, I'm going to create 22 bundles. Again, 16-inch long pieces. I'm going to start by creating scrunches. Now I'm going to combine a woodland method with scrunches. So the curled side down, I'm going to take just a little tiny bit of that mesh and turn it under, place my fingers right in the middle, and crawl up that deco mesh right down the center to create a beautiful ruffle. Sometimes I call them scrunches, sometimes I call them ruffles, whatever that's easy enough to make, whatever you want to call it. After I collect all of my mesh, I always turn under the raw edges a little bit to conceal them inside of the ruffle. Now for my other one, I'm going to do the woodland method. I'm going to do this in a tight roll. So I'm going to roll it up 3 times. And then I'm going to take one of my clips that I love from the Dollar Tree, but you could just as well use chip clips or a clothespin, anything like that. Roll it up 3 times on the other side. Then for the remainder, I'm just going to scrunch down the center till I get to the other side, and that's going to be my woodland method bundle. Then I'm going to crisscross with my other bundle, and this creates a very beautiful deco mesh bundle to go around that heart wreath frame. Now this mesh combination is just gorgeous. The striping on the sides of the Hobby Lobby mesh, and then the snowball mesh. Now you could pick up snowball mesh pretty much anywhere. I'm not certain if they have it at Hobby Lobby, but easy enough to pick up on Amazon, easy enough to pick up on craftoutlet.com. Okay, so now I took my heart apart, and I will keep that metal piece because it's actually very pretty. And so I have that detached. I just use a little screwdriver. It was actually just screwed together. But see, that's the difference between Hobby Lobby and Dollar Tree. Hobby Lobby does, their products are so much better made. So all I had to do was unscrew it. I didn't have to use a heat gun to pry it apart. So, okay. So now I'm going to start placing my bundles all around my wire wreath frame. I'm going to use the 2 inner wires, and I'm going to wrap my bundles around those 2 wires. Twist it on the back side a few times. Now I just used a half pipe cleaner to wrap around my bundles, so that's going to be plenty adequate to wrap around those wreath wires. I'll have plenty of pipe cleaner left to do that. Now I'm just going to go around and do that completely all the way around the wreath on the inner 2 wires, wrapping my pipe cleaners around, setting my bundles right on top, and then turning it over. Now, if you want to create a working wreath, you could do that. That's up to you. This is the way I like to do it. And I think it takes about the same amount of time, to tell you the truth. I don't really think you're saving a tremendous amount of time by setting up your wreath ahead of, with the working wreath ahead of time. But that's completely up to you. You do you, whatever you like to do. The outcome is the same. So, do whatever you like. So I used 22 bundles, and I filled up that wreath frame, and look how pretty. Oh my goodness. It just creates the most beautiful bed of deco mesh. And now I have a beautiful base, or a beautiful deco mesh base in a heart shape. But like I said, you could do this on a round 14-inch wire wreath frame from the Dollar Tree. I have done heart-shaped inserts in my wreaths on round wreath frames. So you can do that. If that's all you can find, just do it. If you want a heart wire wreath frame, you can't find it at Hobby Lobby. I think you could find it on Amazon. Okay, so 22 bundles, all full, ready to go. Okay, now I have my pink heart, but of course that pink heart is never going to go with my roses, and I'm not going to start mixing pinks because that gets crazy. I'm showing you here that Dollar Tree heart is just a little bit bigger. If you wanted to go with that, you could. All right, here's my roses. These are Hobby Lobby. Okay, I used about, I want to say 18 roses, something like that. That's up to you how many roses you want to put on yours. I'm preparing everything now. I'm just cutting them off right at the base of the flower so that I can just grab them and they'll be ready for me and all ready to go. I'll put the number of roses that I used as well as the deco mesh number of bundles that I used in the description box and anything else pertinent to this wreath. Okay, so I'm going to use some Snow White Waverly chalk paint, and I'm going to go ahead and paint that heart. A couple of coats. It's a nice, pretty pink, but it's not the pink that I need. So, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and cover that with Snow White Waverly chalk paint. All right, let's let that dry in between coats. But if you wanted to use faux roses, you could, and you wanted to do red, you could make your heart red. And if you got a lighter pink rose or one that matched well, you could leave that pink. I mean, that's our painted pink if you have a wood heart. Totally up to you. Okay, so now I have a collection of smaller hearts, all different kinds. And these are collections from Hobby Lobby, Dollar Tree, just a whole bunch of different hearts. And I'm going to be embellishing the deco mesh with all those hearts. So I painted all of them white. And you can see I have different sizes, different types of hearts. Just for visual interest, I suggest you mix it up. Now I'm going to take a sponge applicator and some Mod Podge. And I'm going to put a very light coat of Mod Podge on my wood heart. And I'm going to use an ultra fine white glitter. Now, I don't want a solid, heavy coat of glitter. I just want a sprinkling of glitter. So I'm just going to lightly place a layer of glitter that I'm just going to tap on or shake on from my glitter jar. I just wanted a nice shimmer on my heart. Now, my deco mesh has shimmer. All of my little hearts are going to have the same shimmer because I'm going to do exactly the same thing with all of my little hearts. Now, this does not take that long despite how it looks. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to paint all those hearts. Yeah, it didn't take long at all. Now, I'm going to be making a bow, of course, for this piece. And, of course, it was a huge struggle because I just really wanted to have some pink in my bow, but I just looked everywhere. I would, whenever I'm looking for ribbons to match something in pink, I always use the item that I'm trying to match, and I keep it in my pocket, and I take it with me wherever I go, whether it's Joann's or Michael's or Hobby Lobby or Walmart, anywhere that I buy ribbons. And that way, if I have it with me, it's easier to match it. Now, that one ribbon was a close match, but it really wasn't. It was bothering me. But I'm I'm kind of fanatical. Maybe you got the idea about that, about me, if you follow my channel. But I like everything just so. So, yeah, I knew my client wanted to have pink roses, and I thought about it in my head, and I didn't say it aloud, but I was like, oh God, oh, here we go with the pinks. And I was right. But this is a really pretty ribbon. The thing about it that bothers me about this ribbon, this is, I believe, a Robert Stanley ribbon from Hobby Lobby. It's really pretty. It's wired, and it's just a lovely color, but not quite the color of the roses. It's an okay match, but not great. So I'm trying to satisfy my bow needs here by creating some layers to go into this bow. And you're going to see that I ended up not really using that pink because it just, yeah, like I said, wasn't perfect. Probably it would have been easier to go with the red rose, but that wasn't the request. So yeah, I'm not doing this for myself. So I'm just trying to do the best I can. And yeah, so I created a bow, and that was going to be layered too. And I actually put the bow together thinking, all right, this is good. This is okay. Yeah, and then I started putting the roses on the wreath, and then I started saying, this isn't okay. So, yeah, it's just the way it is with, trying to match pinks. And Easter's coming up, and I already feel it. It's coming because, I do a lot of things with pink at Easter. Okay, so enough about the pink struggle. I have this really pretty kind of iridescent textured ribbon that I got in the sewing department at Hobby Lobby at 40% off. Now this has an iridescent shimmer to it, and it actually is pretty on this wreath because it picks up the shimmer in that deco mesh. So I really like that. So yeah, I was trying to keep that consistent throughout the wreath. So I ended up creating a 3-loop bow. I put a button in the center, but you know what I ended up doing? I figured out that if I took a rose and put that in the center of the bow, then I could incorporate pink into my bow. Was that a good idea or what? Yep, that's what I did. So you'll see me doing a button here in the middle of my bow, but I ended up deciding, as I mentioned, to use a rose, and that's a very good option because if you can't find the right shades, say it's red or it's pink or it's lavender or purples or any color that you decide to make this wreath, if you do, you can always use the rose that you place on the wreath. So I put this bow together, layering everything, one layer of bow upon another. And then I did a little dissecting later and ended up putting the rose on. I'm going to show you that. But, it never hurts to see different options. And maybe I have a change of mind, as I go, as I'm creating my projects on my channel. But it also is not a bad thing if you see different options in the process. So I often don't edit out all of my mind changes, if that makes any sense. There's always different ways to do a project. There's different materials. I'm always going to suggest alternatives and options. And I hope along the way that doesn't confuse you. But if I only offer you a particular list of items and you are not able to find those items, maybe they're not at the Dollar Tree, or maybe they're not at a Hobby Lobby, or you don't have a Hobby Lobby available to you, then I'm giving you options for other stores and other sources. So I'm always going to do that on my channel. And then you ultimately see what I use because you're looking at the item that I'm creating. So I I had gotten a comment once from a viewer of my channel that said I was confusing, that I was giving too many options. But honestly, I mean, we all have to, as YouTube creators, we have to do our own style. And for me, that's offering options, because you just may not be fortunate enough, as I am, to have all of these great stores available to me. So I hope that helps explaining that. Okay, I'm going to take a piece of my tool. This is a very pretty sparkle to it. You may not be able to see it in the video, but it's really pretty. And I'm going to create a sash to go over my heart. So I just gathered up my tool. I first placed it on there with my Dollar Tree clips to just get an idea what it would look like. And now I'm happy with it. So on the back side, I'm going to glue that tool down as I gathered it up there. And I'm going to do that on both sides, obviously. Now, I like the look of a sash across the heart. I mean, you could leave this off and just place that word love on there. You could cover it with scrapbook paper, or you could paint it. That love word piece, that's in the Crafter's Square section at the Dollar Tree. So if you want to look for that, I always see it there. And I happen to have it in my stash. You can also get some laser cut wood letters in the Valentine's Day department at Hobby Lobby. You could put scrapbook paper on the heart. You know, there's always so many options when it comes to this, putting a heart in the center of your wreath. All right, now I'm going to gather up the other side. I'm going to make sure that my gathers are all nice and straight. I'm going to gather it together like so, just like that. Turn it over. Now you also can't really see the sparkle on my heart. At least I don't see it that well, but it does have the glitter sparkles. So this wreath has some nice shimmery elements to it. Now I have some leftover tulle that I could use for another project. That was a pretty tulle, and I took my rose with me to Joanne so I could match it with the tulle. Now that's a pretty good match, probably as good as I could possibly get a match. That one's a pretty good match. Okay, now I'm going to put a little small bow on this sash. Now you see me here creating this bow with that iridescent kind of shimmery mesh ribbon. I'm just doing a very small little 2-loop bow. I want to say my loops are only about 5.5 inches, maybe 5 inches. So I'm creating a little small bow. Now for the center of my bow, I'm going to use a couple of those glittery hearts that I created with the Snow White Waverly chalk paint and the glitter. And I'm just taking a little pipe cleaner to attach or collect those loops and hold them firm. I left a little bit of a tail, but I don't need much of a tail on that particular bow. Now I'm going to be placing that bow on there, but not sideways like the sash. I'm actually going to create or place that straight on the heart. All right, now I'm taking a little piece of wire. This is a floral wire, 26 gauge. I picked this up at the Dollar Tree. I want to gather my tool right there. And so I'm using a little bit of wire to help me achieve that. And that's where my bow is going to go. Okay, so I'm liking the look of that so far. And that bow's going to go right there on top of it. And then I'm I'm going to put my hearts on there. Now, you could do whatever you want on the middle of this. You could use a little jeweled pin. You could use a glitter heart. You could use a little mini rose if you wanted to, as long as it matches the other roses. The roses that I used on this wreath, that's a pin right there that you see in my hand. I thought about using that. I get these little pins on Temu, and I like to dress things up with them. That was a heart pin, but I decided not to use it. Okay, now I'm just going to use a little dab of hot glue, and I'm going to place that bow on there. This is going to dress up that heart very nicely with a very pretty, elegant touch. Now I'm going to use a solid wood heart, and then on top of it, I'm going to place one of the other hearts that has a little bit of a design, like a little laser cut heart. I'm going to put that right on top of that other heart, and that'll give it some visual interest as well. And I had to decide which one because I had a number of them to choose from. I think I had gotten those at either the Dollar Tree or Hobby Lobby. And so you could see I used one with the little heart cutouts. So that looks pretty sitting on top of there. And that's my heart that's going to go in the center of my wreath. Okay, so now I'm going to place my heart in there. So I'm going to pull back the deco mesh and nestle my heart down in there, about an inch deep, if that makes sense. I don't want it sitting right on top. I want it nestled down in there a little bit. So I took some time to arrange my deco mesh around it. And then I'm just going to take some hot glue and just in different spots where there's a good spot of deco mesh to adhere my heart to. And I went around and I didn't see any need to use pipe cleaners and, attach it to the wreath frame and all that. This is just light as a feather. It's just not going anywhere. And this wreath probably, let's face it, is really not going to go outside. It's a little bit fancy for that, so I wouldn't worry about that using anything other than hot glue. Now I'm placing my roses around. I put one for sure down at the bottom, at the point of the heart, and then one also at the top. And then otherwise, I just placed them here and there. And then I placed a few on the very most outer perimeter of the wreath, and I just stuck them in the back, just so that when you walk by the wreath, you'll see a fullness along the sides. I hate to see an empty wreath along the sides, so I used my roses to fill that up. And you could place them as you like. And again, I'll put the number of roses I used in the description box. I'm going to have to count them, actually. And so there, I put one at the top and definitely one at the bottom. And then otherwise a few in between. Okay, now you're going to notice I'm pointing to it. I changed the ribbon. Yeah, I did. I used a white satin, pretty Robert Stanley ribbon from the sewing department at Hobby Lobby. It's a very beautiful satin ribbon, and I changed my mind and went with that ribbon because, first of all, it's a different type of ribbon, and I love visual interest on a piece. And it goes beautifully with the white satin that I used in the bow. Now I'm going to take my bow and place it around 7 o'clock. I just reach my fingers through the deco mesh, find a wire, and just attach it with the pipe cleaners on the back of the bow. Now I'm going around with all my hearts, and I'm going to simply use hot glue and place them at all different places along the wreath. And I tilt them different directions and I have them popping up out of the deco mesh, and it was that easy to create that wreath. Aside from all of the pink issues that I had and my changes of mine, which is my issue, this is a really easy wreath to create. And I hope you like this one. It's very elegant, very pretty, and it's a nice way to incorporate roses into a Valentine's Day wreath. I hope you enjoy this one. If you do, don't forget to subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up and let me know in the comments what you think. I have a couple of more Valentine's Day videos coming up. Until next time, you all take care.